Hello, friends, family, the boy, there are my followers. So there's been some changes, it seems. Descriptions have been clarified, or the descriptions were changed and mechanics were updated to more appropriately reflect what the developers wanted. Whatever the case may be, it seems that the combat system has shifted a little bit in the way it is presented. So before, I explained that you would start with looking at your physical penetration. You would then calculate it against physical defense. Mine is about 22 lower. And then you'd roll that over into force, because force was one of the damage modifiers. And since it's 22, I'm losing 22. It would go into hit at 196. And that would then, well, no, 22 to. So 20 down is 208, 198, and then 2 from there, 106, 96, yeah, 196. And then that 196 would be reduced from 195 down to a 1. However, it seems that now, very specifically, this and this is how you hit versus how you miss. So 218 versus a resistance of 195 is how much your ability to hit. So if I attack with these specific attacks, punch, hack, throw, and it says much more, should clarify that better. We see down here, force, ability to hit with brute force. So anything that I guess is blunt, like a straight, I'm gonna smack you in the face kind of thing, is supposedly force. They expect that to be intuitive, I guess, but it's not. But so force is then reduced by resistance. In this case, we would have 90. So that is 20 left. 1. So we have 8 minus 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 23. I think that totals out to 23. And so I would have a 23 to hit that. I believe that that means that I should succeed. Of course, modifiers would change that. There's a lot of martial arts moves. Excuse me. There's a lot of martial arts move here that increases your physical defense and your resistance. Like this adds 204, which would destroy my 23 attack modifier that's remaining. And I would, of course, then miss. So that is purely on how you hit the opponent. And then damage is determined by physical versus key penetration, as is listed here, where you see, because everything about how you defeat your opponent is about doing injury modifiers, your stacks of injury on their different limbs, which is body parts, and get their health is reduced by advance, which is by where is it? List injuries represent the degree of damage on each body part of the person. The character's injuries categorized as internal injuries, damage to flesh, bone, whatever. This body is divided into 7 parts. Injuries and okay, well, victory occurs when you do a certain number of stacks of injuries or quote unquote defeat markers. Injury markers. See that better. That's it better. Maimed, wound damage. Uh, During battle, character can heal their injuries with precautions. Indicated wounds taken. Each wound stack corresponds to 1 wound marker, and different fights will usually require different numbers of wound markers. Uh, I don't remember what the full one is. Defeat condition. You can usually see how many wound markers it requires in the actual fight. I'll show you when we get in. But that's the bottom line on that regard. The idea here is you want to do wound markers, which are external injuries or internal injuries. It could also be things like sealing the opponent. There's some moves that will do that instead. The sect that I have been associated with, they tend to like to do that. Very, very capable. They beat me a few times. best part about their fighting style is the people that they beat recover very quickly. So it is mostly non-lethal, which is part of why I like the idea of it. I don't want to keep killing people. I found out now that I probably killed at least 2 people by just sparring with them. Kind of sucks, but I'm learning and I'm getting better. So we have physical defense versus physical penetration, and that is how actual damage is determined. Your attacks get divided into 2 categories: physical penetration and, and key penetration, which is internal. We can see, I'm going to go to martial art loadout. No, breakthrough. It's got to be breakthrough. We can see here. There it is. We can see here that the damage from this weapon, power capped, with a force modifier. That's for attacks, vision weight, power cap. I'll determine that in a moment, but I have a 22 power cap. My martial art power, whenever I use this weapon, is increased by additional 41%. And I can, after all those calculations, when the move is at 90% power for every 3 impel, this move is at 90% power. Oh, my power cap. So there's something that determines power. I'll look at that in a moment. That is a little bit different. The translations have changed a little bit. I see that there are power caps. So we will find the power cap when we actually enter into combat. But regardless, whenever the power cap is 90% for every 3 impels, I can then do additional openings, which openings are defeat markers. They also increase damage. Force, this increases my ability to actually hit them. Dexterity, my ability to actually hit them with this weapon. And down here is where I actually tell it how much I want the damage to go into. I want this to focus on internal damage with just a little bit of external because, I don't know, I just feel like doing it that way. This also, unfortunately, influences what. Yeah, that's why I do a little bit of external because I wanted to take up my stance and not just fully rely on my inhale. Unfortunately, this also is gauging how it does a damage, which is kind of unfortunate that they tie the 2 together like that. So I try to balance it mostly to do internal damage, but also to use my stance pool for its costs. See here, the inhale cost is reduced, so this costs less overall, and also kind of the stance cost reduces probably because of my breakthrough benefits. Martial arts power cap has increased the power cap. Attack range, power cap. This one, yeah. This gives it these to reduce the cost of both using these, and so by me using both of them, I benefit from both of my reduction costs. It's almost a net 40, but probably closer to net like 25 reduction costs because the way it rolls around. But it doesn't matter regardless. So that's how you could determine whether it's external damage or internal damage, which is relevant for here. I am focusing on external. My external penetration is at 405, whereas my internal, my other way around, I focus on internal. Sorry, my internal penetration is at 405, whereas my defense is at 436, whereas their defense is at 477. So I am not going to be doing much penetration with that regard. However, thankfully, there's other modifiers that change this because I have where is it at? Speed, width. No. My weapon also has armor pierce. There. The effectiveness is 149%. Because this weapon, 149% effective with this weapon. I get an additional 49% on my attack. My key penetration is also increased. You see here, it goes up to 641 with this weapon specifically. And that 641 far exceeds their 477. Then you have this weapon actually uses a lot of flicks. I didn't remember that. Where's my other weapon here? I don't have it on me. I have my, well, I'm in combat, so I can't look at that anymore. So, and then they have armor, which increases by 120. So you can see here, 477 plus 120 is 5, 7, 8, 9, 590. Yeah, 5, so that totals to 590 versus my total of, that's actually 1,406. Nice. 590 versus, I'm doing 5. I'm actually going to use a calculator for that. One moment. Math's a little bit too many numbers. I'm rolling too many through my own head. 641 plus 405. That's 1,046 minus their 597. That's what it was. So I do a total of 449. If I hit, of course. We see here my weapon use is impel and flick. So impels use precision, whereas flicks use dexterity. So I'm mostly looking at my dexterity, which is 430. My precision is a little bit higher too, and that is 409, 430, 409. I come back here and I look at him, and his equipment has nothing to modify. So versus I have twice as much parry, so I'm hitting him pretty often, and well over twice as much. No, 430. Yeah, well, 400 something. So both of these I about double over them. So I very easily attack him. There's nothing in his moves that is stopping that. I hit him pretty often, and then those hits are going to be doing the 1046 minus 570, 593, about 400 and something damage. I can't remember exactly what the calculations were. Again, numbers, too many numbers. And then we see here, he is using a precision focus. Jab, jab, punch, grab, grab. What is this? Punch. He uses a little bit of punch, but this reduces his punch. Mostly precision. A little bit of physical penetration. His physical penetration, we see here, does 232 plus 167. So that is about 399 versus my, I have armor. That is 300. So he will beat my physical penetration and do damage pretty often. And his parry, I have 309. However, my parry is just a little bit higher than his precision, and my resistance is a little bit higher than his force. So he's going to have trouble hitting me. When he hits me, he will do damage. Not a lot, thankfully, thanks to my armor, as we see here. But he will do damage. So overall, my stats are clearly far exceeding his. And he's going to... Oh, actually, my parry is very high. But yeah, he's going to struggle to hit me a lot. Oh, no, my physical defense is exceeding his physical penetration entirely. Nice. Okay, so no, he will struggle to hit me, and a few times he might hit me, he'll do very little damage. Very, very little damage. I like that a lot. I wish they told you the full calculations, though, for sure. So let's go into here, and but this is the bottom line. We want to do injuries, and we want to make sure we do not receive injuries. It explains the body parts, injury markers, which is what we want to do to them. End up knocking them down to where they have. And let's go into the actual combat now. Now that I've explained the stats, and these do influence the stats a bit, but this will be reflected in this. I believe. Should be. Let me just double check this real quick. So if I remove this, yeah, okay, so that's a straight bonus. Which one do I actually want to equip? These guys are doing better, so I'll use one of these. And it's lighter. Okay. Actually start combat now. Immediately pause it. So in this combat, we want to get to here in the damage markers. I don't know exactly how many that is. It could be 24. It looks like it's 24. I never really honestly pay attention to how much each bar ends up leading to, or what the max is. That probably is about 24 though, but this I believe is the what you're trying to get to, 24, and you want to do damage markers. Oh, oh, they really? Yes, they did. I'm gonna go and send that to Babel real quick. Sorry to interrupt the video. This is kind of important. You know what? He's gonna find out in 30 minutes. I'm gonna just focus on this. Um, so as you can see, they have these descriptions here that explain to you different places that these attack. I love that so much. This just became so much more visible. And I have a modifier here that will give me movement speed, lowers my movement intervals, and gives me more footing and equipment mastery. Equipment mastery, as we saw, increases my ability to do damage. We see here efficiency, power, and equipment mastery should be here. The higher equipment mastery, the shorter the interval for switching weapons in battle. So this allows me to switch weapons more quickly. So overall, this allows me to do things more fast, which is good. And then they move battle actions. I don't like that. I do not like the move battle actions. Ah, that is going to be. Oh, and this is so weird. Okay, well, this is new and different. I don't like this. It was better when the battle actions UI was up here. Much better. Oh, this is. I get. That's so janky. Oh well. Oh. And see, we see here inhale and technique charge. And I believe this is where, as it said, I will do additional damage with this right here. Explains whenever it's at 90%. When the martial arts exerts 90% of its full power, it will seal the occupants of the enemy's acupoints. Now, I'm not sure exactly where the martial arts is at 90% thing is at. This does also, though, has a key penetration of 226, which is exceptional. I'm not seeing where the percentage comes in. but that's okay. That can be an advanced step. Somewhere at some point, this martial art will achieve 90%, which will allow me to do ceilings up to 3, because I can have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Does it say move is at 90% for every 3? Yeah, so I can have up to a total of 9 impels. It's very unlikely it's going to happen because I only have 1 impel from my attack move. I need to get a different weapon to use that. But I can have up to 9 total, which would give me 3 additional wound markers, or defeat markers, against my opponent whenever I use this ability. And this ability triggers pretty fast, so that can go really quick. And I see technique charges there. Martial arts, 90% is full power. I'm not sure exactly where the charge is. That's going to bug me a little bit, so I need to figure that out. Regardless, though, I've already determined this is going to be an easy fight, and I can see here, yes, he's Pearson's 0. So he is weaker than me in every aspect. His stats are lower, his pure essence is lower. We already determined his combat stats are lower. I'm going to go ahead and go into auto battle. I'm going to slow this down a little bit though. Combat feels a little faster. And here, where things get really important. So you see the injury accumulation. Whenever you do damage with your attacks, you saw that I do about 500 and something damage per attack. Now that's not 500 damage that goes into specific points. That's 500 damage that is spread out throughout. So here we have left arm, right arm, leg, right leg. This move right here, whenever I'm going to be doing a flip this time, this is going to be doing 20%, just shy of 20% of that damage into their torso. So 20% of 500, not bad. And then just shy of 20% the midsection, the head and neck's going to get a little bit of damage, and the limbs will get about 50, just shy of 15% of that damage. You can see here that damage is being spread throughout these points. Based on, I have done 4 flicks. There should be damage in the midsection here. Torso. Okay, so that does confuse me a little bit that it's saying that the damage should be. I guess it's dice roll. It's probably dice roll, but regardless, that damage gets divided around these different joints based on an algorithm. And it should be about 20% for the torso and midsection, about 20% for 15% for the different limbs. And you can see damage is spread out throughout the different limbs from those 3 hits. So over time, my attack is going to penetrate and do damage, and these are going to roll into slowly fill these bars. This is why it's important to focus in on different attack types, because I'm spreading damage between my external and internal, which is unfortunate because I'm trying to make sure that I don't use as much, don't entirely weigh in on my. See here, when I go to use this, I need to have some of both of them because I am using 20% of my stance and about 75, it was 25, 24 to 76, something like that. Some kind of ratio where it was 20-80-ish. And so that where that comes from is why I'm divvying it out. Most of my moves are using my stance. So I want my art to use mostly my breath, my inhale. However, I have a modifier in both, and I want to make sure that it's not all my inhale because I can use a lot of these pretty often. So I want to make sure that that also uses a little bit of stance. I'll show that in a moment. That did a pretty decent amount of damage. And in a moment it should come up again. So attack. We change that too. Okay, well, this should be. Ah, they did change it. So there's a charge here now. That didn't used to be the case. Once you had enough of these combat abilities to use this, it would have allowed me to use it. I could use this pretty often, actually. You'll be able to see that in my auto combats, that it comes up a lot. And you see with this one also has its own hit parts. And you'll see that it focuses more so on the torso as opposed to the flicks that I do a lot, which focus on not the torso, it's the midsection. So this focuses more on the midsection, whereas these focus more on torso as well as a little bit the midsection. So with this, I am reliably hitting the this one actually. I should be reliably hitting the midsection more. Percentage based. Okay. I'm flubbing this a little bit. I do apologize. The numbers are there, but there are some of this that's been changed recently, so it is confusing me a little bit. The UI is a little cleaner though, that's a good thing. So regardless though, this one will focus more on midsection, whereas this one focuses on torso and midsection as well as the limbs. You see the percentage here is lower in the limbs, so it's going to hit those less and do less damage to those. It's going to focus more specifically on the midsection. And of course, I already showed you this ability adds a lot of defense modifiers. So if they use a attack ability, ooh, they actually show you more of the combat numbers. Good, good. So you see here, this is explained to you based on the attack. I'm hitting, and I'm hitting. These are the hit mechanics. These are the actual damage mechanics. 1,000 inches, a little higher than I actually calculated to be. 199%, that's lovely, versus their defense. So I'm almost double their defense modifier and doing damage through that. And it gives you damage details. Oh, this is so much information. Lovely. Everything's actually quite clear now. It's a little too clear, in my opinion, quite honestly, but it's okay. That's okay. Dabo will love this, and I'm sure a lot of you people will love this. And you can see here, I'm doing a total damage summary of 86. I'm not sure exactly how they're calculating the damage summary. It's because he has armor. Infantry, external, 44. Against 44. This is a lot of new information. But that's a lot of how you'll calculate where you're doing damages. So I guess this is going to be a new basics video because a lot of the intermediate stuff has changed. And so instead of giving you guys intermediate information, I'm just going to stick with giving you guys basics. We also have, this is important, if, say, I was the one with these injuries, I'll show you about the time. I'm hurting him a lot. You'd also see here that not all injuries remain. This injury is slowly going to go away. This is a hindrance as opposed to an injury. A hindrance is probably coming from my weapon's ability to seal. Not that one. This one. Oh, and so you can also see that as my abilities have been firing off, what stands first, my breath has been changing. But this one again. This one does, they inflict one opening on the opponent. And next time, oh, I'm only doing flicks now, so I'm actually not going to be getting openings. This is going to be torso seals, so it is sealing. Does this seal? I'm pretty sure this is supposed to seal. It will seal. Okay, when this martial art exceeds 90% of its full power, it will seal the enemy's acupoints. I'm guessing the 90% was when that combat readout did, and it said 90% over. I was at 199%. So I did one sealing point, and that's what those are. But these will slowly recover over time and remove. If you can stack these up as well, they will help you with your combat calculations. When it's over 199, but I'm not, or when it's over 90, but I'm not 199. So that's why I'm doing acupressure. Is that saying 140? It's the 140 one from. I'm not sure where the 141% is from. Either way, though, as you can see, I am far exceeding the 90%, and that's why I'm doing the seal right here. And as at this point, personally, especially because the damage is so spread out, this would be an excellent time to heal. Using the heal modifier here, based on my ability to heal, and I would know how well this heals because I use it outside of combat. So, but it would at the very least, it would probably heal one injury marker, maybe the 2 injury markers. For me, I think that I can cover 3 injury markers, but I'm not sure. But it would also heal down a lot of these damage modifiers. And so it is important over time. Whenever, because if this one goes up to 4, if this goes up to 4, my healing modifier definitely would not cover that. And so it would remove everything else except for that 4 marker. So it is important that you gauge when to heal based on how spread out your damage is, but you do it too soon. Like you want to do it when you have a lot of spread out damage, but you don't want to do it too soon, not too late, because if you wait too long and you get injury markers that are too large, then you won't heal those. I'm just going to finish this combat now because I've covered most of the things that are in the combat. Oh, nice. An opening. So that was probably because I had multiple impels. Ooh, I got a damage marker. Nice. So you can see I've done 22 here out of 24, and there's only 2 markers left. So this is telling me the combat limit, in that once I do 24 damage to them, I will have beaten them. Combat will be over. There's also, of course, this is important, and I could use this right now. The pinpoint strike. It does a hit multiplier, which means that my hit stats will be tripled whenever I use the pinpoint strike. This also can do a seal marker. I can't cancel it, so I'm going to beat him right now. I'm not going to be able to show the pinpoint. You'll have to refer to my previous video to view pinpoints. I hope that hasn't changed. I can't imagine that it's changed, but it is possible it's changed a little bit. Regardless, though, so use the pinpoint strike attempts. So it's a ×2. That also is an important. Do this. Attacking roll, beliefs, pinpoint strike. So ranging from 1 to 3. So right now my pinpoints are doing 2, 4, and then 6, because that's a ×2 cost. See the calculations here. Follow-up attacks. I'm not what I'm looking at. Pinpoints. If you do an opening marker, that would add an additional defeat marker. If you do a sealed acupoint marker, which I'm doing both of these, you saw that one opening marker, and then you also saw the sealing marker. They add defeat markers. So at this point, if I added a seal or a opening on top of doing finishing on one of these, so like say if I target the head, not the head, probably the head honestly, the pinpoint will more specifically target the body part you hit. As you can see in my previous combat video, if I target the head right now, it's very likely with that 500 damage, it will do enough damage to a wound marker. On top of it could seal, or it could do an opening, which would then do 2. So I could have finished him off at any point the moment he reached this many damage markers. You can also concede. You can use items in combat, which includes healing items. So say you have some food slots left. See that here. Character. And each month you can eat a total of food. For me, I can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total food things eaten. I could eat 6 medicines. I could go in here and I could eat. I don't have food on me. I can use one of these food items, and these give you stat boosts up to 6. It's best to leave a few of those slots open for in combat, so that way you can come here, use this, and then you can use a healing item, which will reduce 3 of my injuries by 1. Heals 1 dead. Oh no, 1 of my injuries by 3. So up to 3. Yeah, this one. So if I had an internal that did that, it's very possible it would reduce this, or it could reduce this. It would not reduce this. It could reduce this, this, this. Anything that is 3 or less has a chance of being reduced by that medicine. Up to a total number of injuries equal. It is reducing 3 injuries by 3 stacks. So it would reduce 3 of these. No, one of these. It would reduce 1 of them by 3 stacks. So only if it's 3 stacks or lower. Let's see when that does multiple. Medicine has changed since pre 1.0 for sure. It used to be that most medicine would heal multiple injuries. It's much more effective, but it's less. Maybe I just don't have this on me right now. That's okay. But yeah, so you can eat that, and that would reduce 1 of these stats by the. It is much more effective, of course, to use a healing ability, because this will usually cover a wide range of things. But if you run out of heals, sometimes you really need to use a medicine. What else can we explain before we go out? Poisons will add wound markers or defeat markers as well. You'll have to. Poison's an intermediate to advanced thing, so I'm not going to explain that too much here. But it does add markers. I already explained weapons, distance for retreats. That's an intermediate thing. Something for here. Okay. Right, and that is the new basics of combat. It's changed a bit much. Thank you. I hope that explains to a lot of people how damage and hit modifiers